All right, let's get into it. Sorry about that last failed attempt. I've been really trying to get Streamlabs OBS to work, but ever since with the update the last 3 months, I haven't been able to get it running correctly, so I had to revert back to the old OBS and stream from that. So going forward, we're going to continue using this until all of that can get resolved. Hopefully you guys had a wonderful weekend. We just started creating our weekly watch list for the week. Thanks for tuning in to the Sunday Stock Talk. If you guys have any stocks you want me to look at or you feel are worthy to throw on the weekly watch list, feel free to comment them. I'm interested to see what type of stocks you guys think have potential opportunity. So before the stream got cut off here, we were looking at FRGE. I feel this one is worth keeping our eyes on. We'll keep going forward. And just as a heads up, if you guys are a part of the Discord here, every Sunday I try to put out a weekly watch list for us. And as a heads up too, I've been recently going through here and cleaning up the server. So I've been going through and I've been purging every day, trying to kick out inactive people and members. We had over 1,500 people in this server. So after purging it every day, I think I got it down. There's like 400 people in here. So it booted a lot of people. So if you recently got booted and you want to be a part of this server, rejoin up. All I'm doing is just cleaning it up. That's all I'm doing. All right, let's get back going in here to the weekly watch list. Keep making our way up the list. HUDI was on last week's watch list. Super light volume on this. Super light volume. This is a former runner in the past, but they just need like a press release or something to get up and going. KOLD Natural Gas just recently did a 1-for-4 split on the 26th. KOLD has been up in popularity along with the oil and gas stocks. Move along this list here. That's a long ways. Bed Bath & Beyond got drilled down. Almost looks like Bed Bath & Beyond, along with your meme stocks. We've seen GameStop and AMC. Pull these up real quick. GameStop went on a wicked rip here on Thursday, running up from 78 all the way up to a high here of $108. Came back up over 105, and it's been trying to hold that $100 right there. I'd keep my eye on these meme stocks for any follow through and continuation. We could see GameStop run up back up here to 115, 120. GameStop is probably going to be your leader, and you're going to want to follow AMC and BBBY, Bed Bath & Beyond. There's another one too. What is it? I think it's LCID. Runs with these two. Yeah. Here on Thursday, LCID popped up. $13. It ran all the way up to $16.50. Then you had a nice continuation there on Friday, all the way up to $18.50. Nice $5 run on LCID the last 2 days. This one really got drilled down. It's gonna find a lot of resistance up here at like 20 bucks. Oh, right there. probably look for them to have a bit of a pullback and then follow through with it. SOUN, this was a new name IPO. Nothing ever happened with it. CHGG. This one had a huge gap down. Went all the way down to 1550 and then it grinded all the way back up to 21. It's trying to make a comeback right here. The float is pretty big on this though. It's 123 million. I don't think it's worth keeping your eyes on. ATER, this one's got potential, but it's got to continue crawling up over that $3. It's trying to build off of that. They need a press release or something. We talked about AMC. This one's super light volume. VAX. This one ran recently. 3 all the way up to 8, but it just crumbled and fell apart. Lyft has been a good one to keep on tabs with the indexes. It's correlated with the SPY. Same thing with Snapchat. Snapchat is correlated with the SPY. I'm going to keep watching Snapchat along with SPY. And I'm writing all this out in the Discord for the weekly watch list. We could probably see a good gap up come Monday with the indexes. CARV, no volume. DWAC got beat down. Trying to set up some sort of squeeze there. DWAC. TDOC. Looks like there's a squeeze going on there. Could run back up here to 40. Breaks up over that 40. You got that gap to fill. All the way back up here to 56. There's some potential there with this. The float on it's quite high though. The float is 160 million. U1, this one was trending up for quite some time. LGVN fell off. Roblox, this was a good one last week. Friday, Thursday, and Wednesday, it had good opportunities on it. With Roblox recently getting drilled down here, it hit a low just below 22. And it's been getting nice rips on it. Right here at 22, good rip up here to 29. Then it pulled back down to 22.50, a little pop. Pulled back down to 22 again. Big rip there, back up to 31. Pulls back there to 26.50. And then good rip up here to 33. See if it comes back down here to like 29. Look at the intraday on this. From the looks of it, it looks like Roblox likes to do a lot of its movement in the morning. Here it got a good run up the first hour of the trading day. And then fast forward to the next day. right here, the first hour of the day, it had a good run up. Then fast forward to the third day here. First hour of the day, grinded up, and it just kept grinding up all the way up until just after noon. Looks like it's getting pretty toppy. So we'll pull back down here to 29 area, I think, and then bounce off that. So we'll throw Roblox on the watch list. NUTX, this was a newer name IPO, had a good pop on Friday. Super light volume on it though. Here it ran from 5 up to almost 650. 10-minute. You could see it opened up right here. And then it just rips all the way up to $50. And then from there it fell apart. Popped up here with volume, retested, fell apart, and now it's trying to perk up again. Could run all the way back up here to 10, but it's a risky stock. VERU was the runner on Friday. I think this blew the expectation from a lot of people. They weren't expecting a runner like this because we haven't seen one in so long. So VERU here, and you could see it popped up last week here. It gapped up pre-market on, what was that, Wednesday? And it failed. And then after hours, they put, or the next day, pre-market, they put earnings out. And then it just came back and squeezed. That's what happened. That was a good comeback. So right at 9. Let's break this down real quick. So right here, you could draw a line straight across. Right at that $10, it fell down sideways there. They put earnings out right there. Dropped down even lower to 7. And I think what happened was short sellers piled in on this. And as it started to come back up and reclaim itself here at that $8, short sellers start covering, and then longs start to come in and they're buying, lifting prices up back up to 9. And then the next day on Friday, we're getting a slight gap up here, reclaiming that $9. And we all know how big these psychological price levels are, like $10, for example. We run up pre-market here, and VERU becomes one of the top stocks on the gap scanner. So it's everybody seeing it as the top stock to look at. Pre-market, we open up and all this volume pumping into it. On average, looks like VERU was pushing out like 3/4 a million every minute in volume. We held up at that 10 and prices just exploded up to $15. Zoom in on this here. So we held up at that $9 and we geared up. We ran up to that 10, broke up over 10. We pulled back almost near that $10. Nice volume retracement there, and then boom, a big surge in volume right there. Lifting prices, going on a nice $5 per share run from 10 a.m. all the way till just before 11 a.m. So 1 hour. On average, this stock was running up $1 every, 10 minutes? Nice retracement back down to 1250. This is definitely still in play. This float on this is 60 million. We pulled back to that 1250, and if you measure the low there up to the high, ideally this pulled back around 50% of this measured move here. Held up nicely, and then it went into a range too, 12 to 1350, so you could have been scalping this back and forth. Look for another squeeze, or we don't know where this is going to gap come Monday. It could open up at 12, it could gap down to 11. I mean, it could gap up to a new high and run. We'll just have to wait and see where it's at pre-market. See, it's been building up to potentially run back up and break up over these highs. 15 is where it topped out at. So it's just pulling back down and gearing up for potentially running back up, breaking up over these old highs here. And then that's when we could run back up and retest this high up at 1750. And then maybe we could run up to 20. That's going to be the next big psychological price level. Something to take note of with a stock like this. It's a former runner. Traders remember stocks that ran in the past. It ran here in the past a few times, and then recently it ran right here. BERU. It's worth keeping your eyes on. If you guys have any stocks you want me to look at, throw on the weekly watch list potentially. Don't be nervous. Let's see what you got. Besides that though, Friday, it was pretty quiet on Friday. There really wasn't like too much going on. ASA, and I remember watching this one. This one had a good run up from 2050 all the way up here to 25, but then it just consolidated the rest of the day. This one could have another pop in the morning on Monday, run up here to 30 bucks. Let's see what the daily rip from StockTwits has to say here. The bulls battled back on Friday, so investors will be watching to see if that positive action can continue this week. Here's what happened and what's ahead. That's just as we were talking before our last stream cut out with the indexes, how we closed good and strong with the SPY on Friday. It's going to be important to see where futures push up to, or what happens with futures overnight. And then going into tomorrow morning, it's going to dictate the start of the week, the futures. So tomorrow morning, we're going to want to see futures all up in green and pushing for positive momentum to come back into this market. With us closing good on Friday and holding this gap up after just non-stop all week, failing and just making new lows all week, we finally showed some sort of strength on Friday. So it's going to be important with the futures to see where it holds up. And Bitcoin, I've been looking at Bitcoin. Bitcoin's just been consolidating, waiting for the futures to open. See Bitcoin real quick. Bitcoin's getting a run up right now, back up over 30,000. But going back the last 5 days on Bitcoin, this hit a new low down, what was it? Down 25,000 it hit. And then now it's getting a good rip back up to 31,000. So far Bitcoin is looking pretty good. Get a nice rebound on that. Run back up here to probably 35, 36,000. Let me go through here real quick and see what else popped off on Friday. AFRM we threw on the weekly watch list. AI popped up. This one had a good run in the morning there, but it's been just inching its way up. This one, more than likely, what's probably going to happen is going to gap up Monday, and then it's going to sell off all day. Beyond Meat had a good rebound. They put earnings out. $32. It sunk all the way down here. We're at that $19 level. And then had a good surge up to 30 here. That was a good $10 run up. Nice tight pullback here to 24. And then Friday ran back up. Made new highs. Yeah, Beyond Meat, this could run all the way back up to 35. I think we're going to have like a clean slate going into next week, Monday. We're going to have to focus on what stocks pop up if momentum continues to push forward. Because a lot of stocks are going to run. Robinhood, 850. Look at that surge. That was a good one on Robinhood. All right, let's see what sector got beat down the most last week. So we see everything across the board closed green on Friday. That's good. Right here. But measuring for the whole week, looks like consumer critical and basic materials got beat down the most. Then going for the 1 month. Consumer critical and basic materials. Those are really getting beat down the most. Normally when these sectors get beat down like that, I want to keep an eye out for good rebounds. POSH. It's right up at that 50-day moving average. I don't think this will do anything. Those are the major stories from the week, and here are the final prints. So these were all the indexes getting beat down for the week. Every major US index fell and recorded their 6th straight week of losses. That's something to keep in mind right there. 6 straight weeks of losses. After 6 straight weeks of losses. Inflation was in focus as CPI and PPI data cooled very slightly. Meanwhile, the national average gas price rose to an all-time high, $4.37. Despite the hot inflation readings, Treasury bonds managed to close in positive territory after experiencing their own multi-week series of losses. Elon Musk's antics around his Twitter buyout proposal continue, with him casting doubt on whether he'll go through with the deal, sending Twitter plummeting. Top stocks on my watch list. Growth stocks remained volatile, especially those that reported earnings. We covered some big movers, including Coinbase, Upstart, Affirm, and Beyond Meat. With Bitcoin collapsing and falling down, Coin here got drilled all the way to 41, quickly ripped right back up, held, and then nice gap up. I literally just put a video out on price action like this to keep your eye out for. And after the fact, too, look at all that time right there. You had from May 12th there, 11, noon, 1, 2, 3, going into the next day. You had one whole day to notice that and see strength and that gap up the next morning. 41, good run up there to 60. Man, that's a $20 run. Bullets from the weekend. Sweden poised to apply for NATO membership as ruling party backs bid. Oil giant reports record profits and soaring oil prices. Economic calendar here. We got retail sales on the 17th. We also got the Feds speaking on the 17th at 2 p.m. The housing. There's a lot going on this week. It's a slow earnings week with only 227 companies reporting. Companies like Walmart, Home Depot, Costco, Target. And then here are the big names reporting throughout the week. All right, let me go ahead and post this. Friday markets finally closed green after 6 straight weeks of losses. Inflation was in focus as CPI and PPI data cooled very slightly. Meanwhile, the national average gas price rose to an all-time high of $4.37. All right, let me go here and look at... I thought I already logged in. Want to look at my screener here real quick. All right, we got a few of them here. Was a good bottom. Ryder. Huge surge up there from 72 up to 84. Here's the pattern screener. I don't see any that are catching my eye. A lot of them to go through. Looks like a lot of them are in down channels. AKYA. AKYA. Let me see that one real quick. Yeah, super light volume on it. I need average volume to be up on that. Over 2 relative volume. Average true range over $150. Over 25%. Oh, that's too much. This one's got a high short float. A lot of room to run. Float is 17.6 million. I'm gonna throw this just up on my watch list just to see how it plays out. SIX. Six Flags. This one recently got drilled down really hard. Look at the daily here. The last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 straight red days on Six Flags. It was in a range here for the longest, and it fell down through that. So we could see this bounce back up. I could see it bouncing back up to 35 easy. It's just a matter of how long will it take to do that. 3 straight weeks red. See, with this recent downfall here, the long bottom wicks, the long wicks right there is a battle. That's a beautiful story right there. I'll record a quick little snippet here. This is why you should really study and understand candlesticks, because there's a story that's being told between the bulls and the bears, and that's all it is. It's a battle going on. Recently here, or not recently, but we're looking at Six Flags, ticker symbol SIX. This is a weekly chart. So for every candle, that is 1 week of trading. Looking back here in the history, 2020, all of beginning of 2020, leading all the way up to March right here, Six Flags was getting drilled down. Looks like from here at $40 or $38, it got drilled all the way down to a low here at $9 a share. Notice how big the bodies are on these candles. And then once the selling starts to get really extreme, notice the long bottom wicks on this. That's a battle going on there. So we're selling off, and then right here, really take note. We'll zoom in on this. The bears brought prices down, but then the bulls were able to bring prices right back up. So the bulls stepped in for a moment and battled the bears. Then the next trading day, or the next week, because we're looking at the weekly chart, right here you got a big doji, or a spinning top, they would call it, going on right here. The long bottom wick, the long upper wick, and then prices closed right at about the level where it opened for the week. So all this trading week, prices went down, prices went up, and then through the whole week, Monday through Friday, prices closed right at where they opened up for the week. So there's indecision there, is what you're seeing. So it would be important going into the next trading week to see which way the stock chart wants to go. Who's going to win, the bulls or the bears? As the week started up, you see right here, bulls claimed this week right here. And as the weeks continued on, bulls stayed in control and prices lifted from that $10, that $10 area here, all the way up to a high of $21. And the bulls had control majority of the time. And for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks here, price rose up $11 a share. That's the importance I really want you guys to see with understanding candlesticks. A lot of people, believe it or not, they quickly just run through the education part in candlesticks when you should really be taking your time with it and understanding how to read these candlesticks, because there's a lot of information within these candlesticks and on all different time frames for you to break down, to tell the story. The bigger time frame you spot this stuff, the bigger the move could potentially be. So with us spotting this on the weekly chart, it's gonna unfold all the way down to the intraday chart. But we're looking back in history to put all of this together. Now now that we fast forward on this chart, in the future, when all of that went on right here at that $10, this had an epic run. It ran up here, got a nice retracement on it, and you should be looking at this from the low there all the way up to the high there. That's just a nice retracement down, measured move of like this. That's about a 50% retracement there. Retracements are good. You see the volume declining. You got the bulls chose their direction. Nice retracement, rest, and then the trend continues to the upside. There's multiple different ways to break it down and put it all together, and it's up to you to do that. And by going back and doing this and putting it all together, you're practicing, you're training your eyes for when this stuff happens in the future. And you're seeing how it plays out. This ran all the way up to 51, and then it pulled back and it consolidated within this range from March, almost a year. It just went sideways here. Now it's starting to fall down. And you can refer back to the last time it started to fall down here for any type of pattern recognition or levels of interest for the stock to potentially bounce off of. So if you were to measure from this low all the way up to that high right here, a 50% retracement on this would be at around that $22. And where it broke from this wedge that it formed right there. So you'd watch prices to potentially fall all the way down here to 22, and then maybe get in on it for a nice little bounce on back up. It's just all about in the way you look at the charts and break them down. And believe it or not, a lot of people don't put in the work and go back and do this. So put that work in. Train your eyes to spot patterns, see how setups played out, and understand, most importantly, all it is it's a battle between the bulls and the bears. And at any one point, there's only 3 stages that a stock's going to be in. It's either going to be in an uptrend, a downtrend, or it's going to be consolidating. You need to identify where the stock is at in that trend. Who's winning? The bulls or the bears? Or is it a stalemate? I'll have to go back into that later on and record or edit it. But that's spotting something like that. That's where you're going to make your money, you guys. For real. And by you going back and putting it together and understanding how this played out like that, when you spot something like this in the future, you got to recognize it and then trust in that you know the information and what you've studied in the past to make that money. That's what it all comes down to. And when it comes down to it, most people are afraid to pull the trigger because they doubt themselves. They don't trust in themselves. That's what it all comes down to. And then they watch the stock run without them because they doubted themselves. I can't tell you guys, trusting yourself and in what you know is so key in this game. And that's where it comes down to. You got to put that work in. You got to. With 6 flags falling like that, I'm going to throw it on the weekly watch list. This was a good spot. recently falling off like this right here in the market. You could see volume on the upside was starting to really ramp up right here with the selling, and with the markets potentially maybe getting a nice rebound. You could see a nice rebound in Six Flags, and summer is just approaching and coming along, so all these theme parks are going to be opening up now that COVID is out of the picture too. See if it can start to build up off that $29, get a nice run up on it. Six Flags. And I spotted this trading idea from Finviz by just going through, creating my own little screener and looking at all of these charts. And real quickly, this chart right here caught my attention because I noticed how deeply it just got demolished. Same there with FLYW. That one got beat down recently too. FLYW. Let's look at that one. Flywire. This one got drilled down recently from 30 non-stop all the way down here to 1650. And once again too, you could kind of start to see here with all the candles, bears were in control. Then you got a big doji right there, and then bulls started to step in right here. Bulls are starting to step in and take some action from this recent sell-off. Bears were able to reclaim control of it. Then the next day it gaps down lower. Bears brought it down, but once again bulls were able to step in and bring prices back up. Notice the ramp in the volume, the selling side, and more volumes coming into it on this day here. Then we get a nice gap up. Now bulls are in control, and you can see a nice rebound to the upside, and it all stems from, I'm starting at the daily chart, and then now you work your way down to your lower time frames, like your 10-minute, for example. And then once you put it all together on this, move down to your 3-minute or 1-minute, narrow it down. Yeah, this one, just like Six Flags, it was consolidating for some time, and then it finally cracked and it free fell. Got a little bounce there, but the trend continued on. It's trying to break up out of that steep downtrend right here. So if it can hold up at that 1950, 20 bucks, those levels, continue to build up, it could push all the way up. Looks like 22, 23, and then it could push up here to 25. I don't know what Flynn Corporation or Flywire Corporation does. Technology, information technology. This is more of like a swing trading type of stock. This isn't like day trading. Let's see what else we can find here real quick. We'll do the percentage gainers under 50 bucks. So we got VERU. We all know that was the number one from Friday. NOTV here. Nice gap up and then morning push from 15 up to 1750. This one got beat down really hard too. You could slap a trend line out on this right there. It can run all the way up to 22. Float is 17.6 million. Nah, come Monday, people are gonna forget about it. EXFY. This one, 37 float. It's got no history of running in the past. It had one good day right here, finally. No volumes interested in it. It could continue to rip up, but there's just no really volume. Again, this is more of like, this one's gonna be hard. No, I want volume over 1 million. Average true range over $1. Let's see the short float short. Let's see if we can get any right here. Over 20%. Over 25%. Beyond Meat, which is already on our watch list. ASAN. We had this one on watch last week. ASAN. Yeah, we had this one on watch last week. Thursday, it had a good run up here, and then it crumbled and fell all the way back down to 19. Friday, it was gapping up to 21, and then it ran all the way up to 25. This one non-stop got drilled down. So it's been consolidating just below that trend line. I think that 25 level, 26, it's got a lot of resistance. And it stalls out a lot, as you can see. It just doesn't like to break. Even when it came back here. from this. It didn't break out. It came back right here, didn't break out. So this stock, it's got no history of ever running. That's why the short float on it is real high. Short sellers are like, yeah, this one's in the bag. It fails every time. UPST recently had a big gap down. This has got a big gap to fill. Up over $40. Huge gap here, all the way up to 76. Looks like it's got some sort of a inverse head and shoulders. There's your shoulder. There's your head. There's your shoulder right there. And then here's your neckline right there. UPST. You're going to run into all kinds of people with chart patterns. Some people take chart patterns like it's got to be specific and like to the T perfect for it to work. When it comes to chart patterns, for me, if I can identify it, I'll take it. I'm not picky about chart patterns. Like some people out there, they'll be like, well, that head and shoulders isn't necessarily a perfect head and shoulders, as the shoulders don't line up. Like, dude, I don't care, dude. I can identify it looks like a inverse head and shoulders to me. That's all I care about. What's the float on this? 73 million float. Upstart Holdings. I think it's worth keeping an eye on. UPST. Let me go back and check something real quick. VTNR had a good push on Friday. Vertex Energy. BLNK, that's a familiar name. We're seeing a lot of charts that look like this, where a lot of stocks were in these downtrends like this, and they're like got that big rip up and they're just pulling back like they're gonna run up and test that trend line. That's where we're at across the board with a lot of stuff. That's why it's going to be important to know where futures are opening tomorrow. Because we could put together a big watch list and all of these stocks that have opportunity, but let's say the futures all open down in red. All of our plans just go right out the window. So it's kind of like we're in a position we gotta like wait and see where futures open just ahead of the open. That's where we're at, but we could still put together a watch list. I just don't want to get too crazy with it, because I feel like a lot of stocks are just gonna, a lot of new stocks are gonna pop next week. Bros, BROS. Dutch Bros. This one fell off a cliff right here at 35. It fell all the way down to 23. And then it got drilled to 20. Nice pop back up, and it's been trending up nicely, but I don't think it's going to continue running up back up to here. It's going to pull back down. It already made a good move from here all the way up to 29. That's a good move. First line of defense, you're probably going to be looking at that 25 level. It's going to come back down to here, bounce off that, right back up to here, probably stall out, and then it's going to come back down to support, and it's going to crack that, and it's going to fall back down. I'm just looking at the chart. Right here. It formed out a wedge. And then the next day, it was gapping up from that wedge. That $25 level. It held from that all the way up to, it touched 29 from 25, so that would have been a nice $4 right there. I just like to go back. Yeah, I'm gonna hit record on this. What I like to do is I like to go back on charts. Anytime I see a big drop off or a big, like, there's activity going on, any big movement or anything that immediately catches your eye, like if you guys pull this chart up, instantly your eyes are going to be drawn to this right here, right? Like, wow, that's a big drop off from there to there. So what I do, I'll go in and I'll zoom in on this, and I'll just look at it and I'll admire it. Like I tell you guys, when you look at charts, you want to look at it in a way like it's art. You're all going to spot things differently. You're all going to pick up on things differently. We're all going to look at it differently. And it's all about how you perceive it. Where do you see opportunity? I say that to you guys all the time. Your eyes are going to naturally pick up on patterns. Like you can easily identify a triangle or a wedge right there. You're instantly gonna identify U-shapes like this, because we're all taught to look out for this type of stuff. All of us. You even got another wedge right here. So everybody's taught to look out for all these different types of chart patterns. And it's real popular with people. They like to look out for that. But I'll go back and I'll see that this big drop off here. I'll note like it fell from 35. It had a drop here all the way to 25. So 25 was resistance. And I'll draw these lines out. And it got drilled all the way down here to 21, it looks like. Right there. And then I'll go back and I'll put it together. Like, okay, there's a wedge right there. Stock fell through that wedge right here. And it grinded back up and it found resistance right there from where that wedge dropped off. It pulled back again, got up above it. It was trying to hold, reclaim where it fell from that wedge here. And it did. It got up over it. And when it pulled back, look at all here. It held above from that wedge right here. That's what I'd be putting together and looking at for this chart. Got a nice surge up here. Pulled back down. See how it bounced right there? Real briefly. Right when that market opened. Then it fell through. And what happened was they trapped shorts right there. They trapped shorts and then they brought it right back up. And they rip it right back up to day high. Comes back down again. Holds just about at that area from that wedge right here. Notice how I keep coming back to that wedge. This is the source right here. And it's at that $21. That I'm focusing on that $21. You see how I'm putting it all together and revolving it all around areas of interest, what I'm seeing on the chart. We got the day highs up here at that $24. Stock runs up here up to a new high, comes back down right here. Now it's holding and bouncing off of that high, and even all the way back here, that high. These were all areas of interest. Bounces off of that. Volume was retracing the whole day while it was doing that. And then you got a volume surge right there. Volume lifts up off of that. Retest its high multiple times. It's just all about putting it together. And you guys should be going through these charts and doing what I'm doing here. And it's repetition, practice, repetition. You're going to get faster, you're going to get better, and then you can whiz through these charts like I am right here. You just got to dedicate yourself and apply yourself. As Walter White says from Breaking Bad, apply yourself to the equation. Apply yourself. That's all I ask. Just apply yourself to put stuff together like that. And see how I'm not using indicators. I'm not using a MACD, Kettler channels. I'm not using anything fancy. All I'm using are candlesticks, volume, price action, and areas like price levels. I'm keeping it simple. Very, very, very bare bones simple. And I've been breaking all of this down on a 1 minute chart. I didn't go through and break it all down on a 10-minute chart or a daily chart too. It's, you got to start from the top and work your way down. It all comes from practice, you guys. Practice. I get a lot of comments from people that, man, I really admire the way you break down these charts. Like, you make it look so easy. I've been doing this for 7 years, you guys. And even to this day, I go back and I break down like what we just did. You just get better and better and better at it. And you train your eyes, like I preach to you guys, on what to look out for. And you keep your focus on the big picture at hand. And I tell you guys all the time, you can really see who's in control when you go back and look and identify what's been going on. You can. All right, I got my list here created on Discord. We've been streaming just over an hour now. Pretty light watch list for the week, I would say, because we just have to see where the futures open or are at just before the market opens. The futures are going to dictate everything. Everything. So I can't preach enough. Focus and pay attention on where the futures are opening before the market opens. We'll get together in here in the Discord before the open and we'll see where we're at. I think we got a good list going for the week so far. And then if the markets gap up and futures push, we're going to see momentum across the board, you guys. So it's going to be free pickings for anybody. You can pretty much pick any other stock and it's probably going to run up with the market. Just focus on what stocks you see potential in. All of the fate lies within the futures. So let me go through here and add these stocks to the watch list here. BWV, AFRM, CYN, FRGE. Oops. And then whatever stocks are, oh my goodness, I screwed it up again. Whatever's gapping up Monday morning, we'll add to the list as well. Snapchat, of course. We can also add in Lyft, Roblox, RBLX, VERU. That was the #1 runner on Friday. Beyond Meat, Coin, Six Flags, and UPST. It's a pretty good list going into next week. There's also a couple stocks here from the Monday, Tuesday I didn't look at. CGEM, I was iffy on this one. Because on Thursday, this was gapping up pre-market. And then it consolidated the rest of the day. And when you go back and look too, when this was consolidating, it tricked longs. See, it had a nice gap up from that previous day's close. It gapped up from 730 up to a high here, 950. It pulled back, it held, then it pushed up to $10. That's a big psychological level, $10. Then it pulled back before the market opened. It stalled out right here. And it just kept holding and consolidating at that $9. And what happened right here, it surged from 9 up to 970, trapped longs, and then came back down and consolidated. So Friday, see what she did on Friday. Friday, right from where it consolidated at that $9, it just lifted up and just ran up all the way to 1050. It's been holding its gains, but volume is super light on it. So all it's going to take, what sucks with these stocks with low volume like this, and when you see a chart that's spotty like that, all it takes is for this stock to run into one big seller and it's going to ruin it for everybody. That's why these light volume stocks like this, they're hard to trade, especially day trade. They're more of like swing trading type stocks. So that was CGEM, that was on the list, and CPNG was on the list too. This one popped off after hours on Wednesday, right here. And then the next day, it just had like very odd movement. Ran up here after hours, fell down here out of the open, and then it came back and squeezed. And it ran all the way up to 1350. Pulled back, gave back most of its gains, and then the next day it was gapping up and it got a good morning rip. Back up to new highs. Very odd movement on this type of stock. Very odd, but you can go back and put it together all right here. Notice how it flatlined right there, then it fell through at like $11.50. It fell through there, came back and retested it. Then it fell down again, and then it flatlined right there at 11. So that's another important level. Fell down through it, came back up, got up over that 11, ran up to that resistance here, quickly popped over it, couldn't hold. Back down, it was holding that 11 as support from right here. Gearing up, ran up to that 1150 again. See how it was acting as resistance? All right there. And then it exploded up over that resistance. From 1150, it ran all the way up to 1250. Then 13. Then 1350. Just very odd movement. The way I look at it, every stock chart has a story to be told, and it's up to you to tell that story. That's the way I look at these charts. Everybody's going to depict the story differently. That's why technical analysis is so fascinating. And the more dedication you put into it in your craft, you'll be amazed at some of the stories you'll be able to tell. And people will easily overlook them. Alright, you guys. I'm going to go ahead and get up out of here. I'm going to try to edit one of the videos we recorded from this session, get it uploaded